Hi, this is Beth of Beth's Blog, and I'm here with...
Peter Plastrick with the Innovation Network for Communities.
And the name of your website?
It's nupolis.com, Nupolis.
Now, Peter is a guru on networks, and he's been thinking deeply about this for years. And I've just had the pleasure of a meeting and lunch. And what happens when you have lunch with someone who's been thinking deeply about topics, you end up drawing on napkins.
This is the new big idea. This is what's coming next. We've been talking about networks for the past morning, and my partner Madeline Taylor and I have been consulting with networks and meeting with people who care about using networks for social impact. And so as a part of that process, we've been trying to figure out what is the field here that we work in, and how can we evolve this field to a higher level of coherence and impact itself. We know many of the people around the country who work on networks, think about networks, but we're all sort of operating as solo operators, kind of a retail system, a lot of one-offs, and our view is that it's time for the people in this field to start networking together, to actually evolve the field in an intentional way. So this napkin and the categories on this napkin are at least one scheme about what a field could be working on. There's orientation to networks. There's the ignition of networks. How do you get that?
Ignition of networks.
It's about jump-starting a network. Lots of people have the instinct that, gee, I ought to be working with other people here. And they'll bring people together to have that conversation. Sometimes it leads to something, sometimes it doesn't, but it's that early ignition process where people agree that we should be working together on something, and then they have to deal with the question, well, but how do we do that? What does that mean? That leads me to network planning and the design of networks. This is, I think, a lot of what the practice is about right now, is there really are ways of intentionally designing a network so that they're more effective.
And what do you think some of those ways are?
Well, one of the things we talked about at lunch was the membership in a network. Is this an open membership network where anybody can join and we want thousands of people in, or is this a closed network which is invitation only? That's a big design decision. Different kinds of goals for networks would result in different kinds of decisions about that. And there are lots of membership design things that you can do in between wide open and very tightly organized.
Yeah, where you put that gate.
Yeah, where you put that gate matters. You may change where that gate is as the network evolves, but your starting point is going to matter on that. That's a design decision. And then there's actually managing a network. Managing a network means networks don't just happen. You have to be thoughtful about, for example, how you connect people. Are we getting together every quarter? Are we getting together every week? Are we getting together once a year? It's not just a design decision, that's a management decision. When we get together, what are we going to do? How do we strengthen our connections to each other? How do we build more trust between ourselves? Those are management decisions around how you actually manage a network. Then there's evaluating a network, which was really a part of the whole conversation this morning. So how do you know if a network's doing well? Well, there's at least two things to look at. One is, what are the impacts that the network's having? But the other one is, what's the health of the network itself? Whatever its impacts are, what kind of shape is the network in?
So do you have a tool for that on your site?
Yes, we do have a tool for that on our website.
So tell me a little bit about the tool.
Being
a tool lover.
Why don't you ask Madeline to tell you a little bit about the tool? She's been...
Okay, I will do that.
Hi, I'm Madeline Taylor from Arbor Consulting Partner, and I work with Peter Plastrick, who you were just talking to, about a tool group we created called the Network Health Scorecard. We created because we were looking at evaluating networks not merely on their impacts, but also on how well folks are connected to one another, and how the conditions of the network actually affect what the outcomes are for stakeholders. So we created a tool which looks at management, at governance, at connectivity, at whether the network is actually having an impact, but also how. And we conceived this not merely as something that an external evaluator would use, but that network members themselves would use over time.